My name is Wolstrup, and I am going to be discussing the paper Exploring Force Sensing with 3D Printing, a study on constriction resistance and contact phenomena that I wrote with my co-authors from DTU. So, short outline. I'm not really going to go through it. It's mostly if somebody wants to read through the presentations afterwards. So, a short introduction. What we did in the paper was that we 3D printed a force sensor. So we did it with TPU that's doped with carbon black. It's a commercially available version. It's NinjaTech's EEL, so you can go and buy it if you can, I guess, find it somewhere. We used a classic FDM 3D printing, and what we did was we modeled this, I guess, sensor network of normal resistors, and then we have this variable resistance that is force dependent in the middle. And that one is supposed to be this, I guess, contact surface. And that's how we model it. So first, I would like to take a step back and talk a little about constriction resistance, because it's not something I knew before I started working with this. So contact resistance is something you might have heard about. And it's the idea, obviously, we get at resistance when we put two conductors together. Constriction resistance is a major contributor to contact resistance, and is more, I guess, rigidly defined as when the current is restricted through a small cross section. More specifically, if we have a contact surface, like seen here, which has a surface roughness, when you then press two of those together, you get only a certain number of contact points, which have a combined area way smaller than, their parent contact surface area, if you were to think that they were in perfect contact. These spots are called A spots, and they are assumed to be circular and needle-like, I guess, a circular cross-section, but very, very long compared to their cross-sectional area. Due to this, we can define the constriction resistance with this, where the A-spot radius, AI, is under the, I guess, here. So the constriction resistance is simply just the resistivity divided by 2A. Very simple. If we then have multiple of them, because they are so small and they are far apart compared to how small they are, we can assume that they are electrically in parallel, which means that we can just take the radii and take the sum of those to get the complete constriction resistance. This value, or 2 to the sum of AI, is usually called the contact length. This is not a measurable length in any way. It's just a value that happens to be, in meters. So what we did was also, I guess this states obviously that we get some kind of constriction resistance. However, if we press surfaces together harder, then obviously they deform, unless they're infinitely hard, they deform to each other, creating not only more A-spots, but also their A-spots already get bigger. This increases the contact length. How this then influences the resistance depends obviously on the relation to force. When I scoured through the literature to find out how this proportionality worked and how exactly it depends on the mechanical probabilities, I found a few different ones. And I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I didn't know which one was correct. So I decided, why not just test all of them? So some of the sources have just one proportionality depending on any kind of deformation. Some have for difference between elastic and plastic deformation. Some even have between low and high force elastic deformation, and one even has for a different kind of A-spot. So usually, obviously, they're circular. In this case, it would be a cylindrical indenter, meaning it's a rectangular spot instead, which then gives this logarithmic proportionality. So we put the sensor, which is somewhere, hopefully, in a Mach 10 force gauge, which we have then had an approach velocity of 1 millimeter a minute, per up to 20 Newton, and then back down again. And then we plotted the resistance in blue and the forces you can see in red over time. And as we can clearly see that when it kind of has like a travel distance, and when it actually touches, we see a sharp decline in resistance. We then map them, I guess, to each other. So we have force and resistance as a relationship. And what we can see is we have a very, very good, almost exponential decay-like function, with almost no hysteresis between the force and the resistance. We can also see that the sensitivity in this case is just the slope of the one above it. Not only is very, very high at the start at very low forces, but also it tapers out to almost nothing at the end, meaning that this sensor is only good between 2 and 5 newtons, Anything above that, it is simply just in what I would call good contact. That's obviously good to know that, so I know that if I want this to just be a good contact and not a sensor, I need to press harder than 5 newtons. Then I simply fitted the relations I showed you before. And as you can see, here down with the error, all of them are quite good. They all have above 97, an R squared over 97%. The best one, by some margin, is, I guess, also the simplest one, which is simply the inverse of the force. So this means that luckily the sensor follows the literature to some degree, which is obviously nice to know that I'm not completely off somewhere. So that's what's in the paper. Then obviously we continue working, and the first thing we did was, okay, if more roughness means better sensor, why not just print a rougher version? So we tried that, and indeed it did create a better sensor, just not by it had a relatively small margin, about 10 to 15% increase in the change in resistance. And it also made the slope slightly more, I don't have any data to show you sadly, slightly more, I guess, wide. Then we quickly changed to another approach, which I call the sponge, which you can see here in the middle. That one inherently has structural support because you can go, through the sponge section here. We just manipulate the infill of the printer. And what it does is then it collapses in a, I guess, predictable manner, which gives us not only a larger force sensing capability, but also linearizes it a little more than usual. We obviously rely on a non-linear principle, so it's not going to be linear in any way unless I can perfectly match, the other way around. This one is about 1 kilo ohm at rest and 400 ohm fully pressed in. And we are exploring using this with soft robotics. The final one at the bottom is the idea of using, these ones are then, I guess I should say, they are printed laying down. So while our sensing is in either the X or the Y direction compared when it's printed. In this case, I wanted to try to print vertical sensors so that they sense in the Z axis. By utilizing the fact that obviously FDM printing is layered, meaning that I have these layers which are not going to be perfectly melded together. So I'm going to have contact and then constriction between each layer. Why not use that as a number of surfaces to go through? That was the plan. And they work a little bit, but they're very hard to get to work because I need them to once again deform in a predictable manner. And that is very hard to do with a infill pattern that is vertical. The good thing about these and why I'm trying is because then I can make a sheet of sensors quite more easily than trying to make multiple sensors in this way, where I would have to, I can definitely print sensors, next to this guy. But if I want to print even more, I would have to print them, in this case, out of the screen, which is very hard to print a soft material at all. So, small recap. Constriction resistance is present whenever you use, technically whenever you have a contact between two conductors. It is especially noticeable when you have soft conductors that are highly resistive. So you should always, if you use these kind of conductors, if you have the pleasure of using them, you should always make sure that as part of the design process, either that you want them to be sensing and then utilize it, or if you want them to be passive components, then make sure that you account for the constriction resistance so you don't get sensitive behavior when you don't want it. I think that was about it. I put my contact info there. This one is just for my LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your attention.